If you've been watching my videos this offseason, you know how much I love Georgia's offensive line heading into the 2024 season. Actually, it's just the spring, but I feel strongly that this will easily be one of the best offensive line groups in college football for a lot of different reasons. And I'm going to talk all about that in today's video, but I want to talk about what Kirby Smart said. Georgia had their first spring scrimmage this past Saturday, and earlier this week during the Kirby Smart press conference, he had several questions about the offensive line unit. How good could they be? How important it is to bring back all this experience and talent and multi-year starters coming back for another season. Lots to break down, lot to talk about, but I want to share my thoughts on what Kirby said. Here's what he had to say on what he's basically seeing from the offensive line this spring. He said, I can't put them up with the top units in the country because I haven't seen the other ones. Same, Kirby. I still have to do my research too. But your group is without a doubt one of the best. I know it, you know it, and everyone else knows it. It's not a fair comparison. I think I'll leave that up to the gurus that all have the talk shows and the media stuff. I'll handle that for you, Kirby. I got it. I can't sit here and seriously argue that it's the top three group in the country because I haven't seen the others. We have a very experienced group outside of center, and I'm going to talk about that in a second. We have a lot of guys that have taken snaps. But I ask you, this is where it gets far. He asked the media questions, right? He's doing a little flipperoo on us, right? Little 180. Because you've taken snaps, does that mean you're better than other people? I certainly value experience, especially in our league. But you can go backwards, and you have to be careful with guys that are older, because if you're not careful, they go backwards, and the younger guys beat them out. Hard to see that on the offensive line at Georgia, and occasionally that happens. We saw it a little bit with Monroe Freeling, who was a freshman last year, earned some playing time, especially when Amarius Mims went down against Vanderbilt. But for the most part, you got to wait your turn at Georgia unless you're just truly elite. Got to be a little patient if you're an offensive lineman in Athens. There hasn't been a year that we were here that a younger player hasn't surpassed an older player because they were hungrier, more driven, and more motivated. He didn't give examples. Andrew Thomas played early because he was an absolute badass. Jamar Sawyer played early. Cedric Van Pran did play really early. Tate Ratledge played early. So now that I think about it, yeah, there have been some offensive linemen who have come in and played earlier than maybe you thought and turned into starters. It's very rare that someone jumps in immediately and earns a starting role. I think Isaiah Wilson, very much a forgotten player after what he did after leaving Athens. I think he's another guy who I think maybe just waited 1 year, then started year two, but did see the field some as a freshman. Either way, Kirby's saying, yeah, we're experienced. And we've got a lot of guys who are, multi-year starters. We've got an experienced group, but we can't have them go backwards because we do have a lot of seriously talented younger players who want to see the field, right? No one wants to sit on the bench all season long, and they're trying to push those older veterans. And what Kirby's saying is if those multi-year starters, right, Ernest Green is going to be a multi-year starter now, but Tate Ratledge, Xavier Truss, if he wins the job, Micah Morris, Dylan Fairchild, all these guys have plenty of experience. And if they get better, this group is going to be outstanding this year. They're going to bully teams. But if those veterans, those experienced guys who are already in starting roles, if they dip down, if they don't get better each and every day in practice and they go backwards some, then that's when this unit might not be as good or as elite as maybe we think right now. And if that's the case, some of these younger guys better be ready to step up. But I know Dylan Fairchild very well. That's a kid who's not going backwards. He's going to get better every day. Micah Morris, he's going to get better every day. Jared Wilson, the new center, as good and as talented as we've heard all offseason, the perfect guy to replace a Cedric Van Pran, maybe the best center in college football history. High expectations, high hopes for Jared Wilson. He's a guy at center who moves really well. Everyone's been raving about that guy. But you better have a great left side of the offensive line. And they've got a guy in Ernest Green who could be one of the best left tackles in college football this year. And we're going to talk about all that, but I got to get back to the quotes. Again, you can read all these over on Dawg Post. I don't see that happening as far as younger players beating out an experienced starter this year. He said, I don't see that happening with our offensive line, but I can't rule it out. So I love the fact that they're a tight-knit group. And some of these sentences are choppy that they send us. I got to really focus and whatever. They're really physical. They enjoy practice. They celebrate together. They eat together. You hang your run game and the production of your quarterback on your offensive line, which we've been pretty consistent at. Yeah, they're running through everyone. It's really tough. I mean, Alabama stopped Georgia's run enough, more than well enough to win the game. Missouri has done a good job of not letting Georgia just run through them like a knife through butter, right? But Georgia usually does run through a lot of people. It's because they have a big, physical, talented offensive line. And it's because they've got a good quarterback who can put them into situations and audible out to a run when he sees it. And Carson Beck is going to make these guys better. And the running backs are going to make these guys look really good too. But at the end of the day, you got to open up holes. And this is a group that can do that. They've got guys who can move. They've got guys who can pull in the run game. Different types of runs. Powers, traps, end rounds. They're great at pass protection. This is a very good group. And they're only going to get better because as good as they were last year, they've got 4 returning starters. And the guy that they're replacing at center, everyone's talking about. He's going to be very, very good. He's not some scrub. He's not some young player either. I think he was in that 2021 class. So this will be the 4th year, off the top of my head, could have that wrong. I don't have a ton of notes in front of me. I just have this Dawg post story, beautiful Dawg post story that you can read over on the website with Kirby's quotes talking about the offensive line, the defensive line, some of the young freshmen, NIL, recruiting. Talked about a lot. You can read it all over on the website. But then he got a second question talking about, the position battles with guard and tackle. We believe Tate Ratledge has that right guard spot filled up because he's one of the best right guards in college football. The left guard spot is up for debate. Micah Morris, Dylan Fairchild, pick. They're both going to be very good. Whoever wins that job beat out a fantastic player. And whoever didn't win the job would probably start at left guard for just about anyone else, maybe in the SEC and possibly the country. That's how good those two guys are fighting for the left guard spot. Here's what Kirby said. He said, the guard position, I don't really look at as left guard, right guard. We've got a lot of guards competing there. So when you start at guard, you start with Micah Morris, Dylan Fairchild, and Tate Ratledge, the guys I just said. Those 3 guys are really interchangeable parts. Daniel Calhoun, a freshman that you all know a lot about because I saw him play in high school as much as anyone doing this, right? Big old dude out of Walton. He's Dawg. Daniel Calhoun's Dawg. And he might earn a starting spot and be a multi-year starter down the road. Where did I go leave off? Daniel Calhoun has done a nice job working in there. So has Marquise Easley. So has Drew Bobo. Jared Wilson can play there. They've all done a good job competing right there. Right tackle, Xavier Truss, Monroe Freeling, Jamal Merriweather, Bo Hewley. Bo Hewley is out. He's been able to go. But a lot of guys, Micah Morris is thrown out there. Some and played. I think he's talking about tackle now. Yeah, right tackle. Saying that Micah Morris has taken right tackle reps. So has Dylan Fairchild. Has jumped out there and gone. So, we look at it as let's get our best 5 out there. They've said that every year. Every year. Best 5, best 5. Still, you can't throw a guy out there at left tackle who doesn't know how to play left tackle. You can't throw some guy at right tackle who predominantly doesn't play there. That's not ideal. You can do that, but that's really tough. It's not an ideal position. You can't throw a guard or tackle at center who doesn't know how to snap, right? So guys are specific to each position, but at the end of the day, their goal is to make these guys versatile enough to where they can put the best 5 out there and say, hey, we need someone at right guard, right tackle. We feel good about left tackle. Let's just move Ernest Green to right and, slide someone else in there or slide that backup left tackle into right tackle. They want to be able to be interchangeable. So when someone goes down, it's next man up. And thankfully, that next man up can play whatever position they need, right? So little musical chairs going on the offensive line. Let's get our best 5 out there. The more guys we have above the line playing winning football, we've typically had anywhere from 8 to 10 above that line. I hope we fall in that same area as the outcome of this spring as well. I think I read that wrong. It happens. That's just the quotes they've given to me. But again, like the defensive line, he stood up for his defensive line when reporters were asking about how good the defensive line was this spring, and he stood up for him. But when you ask about the offensive line, it's still, he didn't praise them as much as the defensive line. And maybe it's because they're not playing as well this spring. I find that hard to believe because it's an outstanding group full of returning starters, right? But he doesn't want to get too high with the position group. He doesn't want to get too low. But what we know is that both the offensive and defensive line are going to be very good. The offensive line could be elite. The defensive line, according to Kirby Smart, is good enough to get the job done. And he's pleased with where they're at. But it appears the offensive line is the more elite, better group right now. But either way, Georgia's defensive line is one of the best in the conference and has the potential to get better and better. But the offensive line could be just 5 bullies week after week after week. And they're a big reason why I think Georgia could absolutely win another national championship in 2024. Thanks for watching this video. I want to see you on the website. You can read about this story and more over on the site. You can sign up to our free newsletter. That link is down below. It's free to sign up and it's free to read this story that I'm reading right now. Thanks for watching this video. Hope to see you on the website.